Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the magical world of sorcery and ranking the best weapons in the game. That's right, we've put together the ultimate sorcery weapons tier list so you don't have to wonder which blades are worth wielding and which ones are better left in the dust. Whether you're looking for heavy hitters or something a bit more nimble, we've got you covered with a full breakdown from S tier powerhouses to D tier duds. So if you want to know which weapons to get your hands on, stick around because we're ranking every single one based on weight, attack style, and overall combat performance. But hold up, it's not just about raw damage, we're talking about the full package here. We've factored in everything, how the weapon feels in combat, its weight distribution, and of course, how epic it looks when you're swinging it around. After all, what's the point of wielding a magic sword if it doesn't make you feel like the hero of your own fantasy story, right? So, grab your potions, prep your spells, and let's jump into the list. You won't want to miss this. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking weapons in sorcery. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
A very small portion of the audience is subscribed to the channel. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos. Thanks.
The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, fist. Alright, let's talk about the D tier weapons in sorcery. Now if you find yourself stuck with one of these, my advice is simple: run. These are the kind of weapons you get when the game is like, hey, let's make things a little too challenging. The worst offender, the fist, yep, your default no weapon situation. You might as well be slapping enemies with a wet noodle, because that's about as much damage as you're going to deal. It's the weapon you're born with, but trust me, you'll want to upgrade ASAP. Honestly, these D tier weapons are like bringing a spoon to a sword fight. They're just not going to cut it. They won't help you take down enemies, and more often than not, you'll be left regretting every swing. So, unless you're looking to make things unnecessarily hard for yourself, do your best to grab something from a higher tier as soon as you can. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, jet black katana. Alright, let's talk about C tier weapons in sorcery. You're probably not going to be thrilled about these, but hey, sometimes you've got to work with what you've got. C tier weapons aren't the absolute worst, but trust me, they're not winning any awards either. If you're stuck with one of these, you'll notice pretty quickly that things just don't hit as hard as you'd like. You'll be out there swinging away, and the damage? Well, let's just say you're not exactly setting the battlefield on fire. Take the jet black katana for example. It's a medium weapon, so it's not too slow, not too fast, just kind of there, you know? It looks cool, I'll give it that. But when you actually start using it, you realize it's just fine. It has a few moments where it shines, maybe against weaker enemies or in situations where you're just cleaning up, but in the heat of combat, you're better off finding something with a bit more oomph. This katana won't carry you through tougher fights, so don't expect miracles. If you're gonna run with a C tier weapon, here's my advice. Make sure you've got a solid curse technique to back you up. You're not relying on the weapon to win battles. You're using it as a filler while your techniques do the real work. If you can combo your curse techniques with a jet black katana, you might survive long enough to snag a better weapon. But honestly, don't get too attached to these. They're placeholders, nothing more. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, twin guns. Alright, let's talk about those B tier weapons in sorcery. You know, the ones that kinda sit in the middle of the pack. They aren't completely useless, but they're not gonna blow your mind either. These weapons have some pretty niche uses, and in the right situation, they'll get the job done. But the key word here is niche. You can't rely on these bad boys forever. They're like that friend who's great in small doses, but you wouldn't call them for help moving a couch. Take for example, the twin guns. Or I guess we would talk about them if they hadn't been removed. RIP twin guns, you'll be missed. Or maybe you won't. They were fun, but let's be real, they weren't winning you any major battles. Just like most B tier weapons, they're decent for a while, but once you start climbing up the ladder, you're gonna need something a little more reliable. You don't want to be caught in a high level conflict still hanging on to these. So, what's the takeaway? If you're rocking a B tier weapon, don't get too comfy. They'll hold you over for a bit, maybe even give you some fun moments, but at the end of the day, it's time to upgrade. Keep your eyes on the prize and start hunting for those higher tier weapons if you really want to dominate the battlefield. Trust me, you'll thank yourself later. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, dragon bone and katana. Alright, so let's dive into the A tier weapons in sorcery. We've got the dragon bone, a heavy hitter that packs a serious punch. Now don't get me wrong, this weapon is a beast, but it's not quite on the same level as the S tier powerhouses. Still, if you're into swinging around a massive bone-crushing weapon, the Dragon Bone has got you covered. It's slower than some of the lighter weapons, but the damage output is nothing to scoff at. You're going to feel like a tank with this thing in hand. Next up, we've got the Katana, a medium weapon that's all about precision and speed. This blade slices through enemies with finesse. It's not as flashy or overpowered as the top tier weapons, but it holds its own in battle. If you're looking for something that balances agility and damage, the Katana is your go-to. It's sleek, sharp, and gives you just enough control to outmaneuver your opponents while still dealing solid hits. So why pick these A tier weapons? Well, if you don't have an S tier option, these are your next best bet. Sure, they aren't broken like the S weapons, but they're definitely more than capable of carrying you through tough fights. Plus, sometimes it's just nice to roll with something that's powerful but doesn't completely break the game, right? It's all about finding that sweet spot between fun and functionality. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Inverted Spear of Heaven, Tanto, and Twin Piercers. Alright, so let's dive into the S tier weapons and sorcery. If you're looking to dominate in this game, these are the absolute best of the best, no question. First up, the Inverted Spear of Heaven. This light weapon is broken in all the right ways, its base stats are insane, and once you start pairing it with the right cursed technique, you'll basically become unstoppable. You can dish out some devastating attacks, and it's versatile enough for almost any build you're going for. Then we've got the Tanto, another light weapon that's an absolute beast. It's not just about speed here though, it's about how well it complements your fighting style. Dual wielding this with another cursed weapon, you'll be tearing through enemies like they're nothing. It's perfect for players who like to get up close and personal with swift, lethal strikes that your opponents just can't keep up with. Now, let's talk about a fan favorite, Twin Piercers. Yeah, I know they got removed, RIP, but let's give them some love because these were hands down the go-to weapons for so many players. Fast, powerful, and deadly in the right hands. If you were lucky enough to wield them before they were taken out of the game, you know what I'm talking about. Combining these weapons with a solid curse technique made you practically untouchable. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.